Right, it's 17 degrees and I want a fire. And yesterday, had a fire going, wasn't too successful, but this log managed to just, it kept limping on over and over. It just had embers, and so I pulled it away from the other embers. So, I've got myself a courtesy car, a Citroën C3, which by the way, I'm going to put a link into Post 10's video because he's recently got a stove, and it's a very interesting thing too. They use this system called a catalyst, which somehow gets the gases and burns them again. Very interesting. Even talking about having this flue, which is made of steel, making that of PVC. And reason being is because the gases which come out are so cold that the sulfuric acid gas is just a liquid, and it's very corrosive. So it involves a fair bit of plumbing as well, because you have to plumb so that all the exhaust liquid can safely go into your sewer. And I assume there's a slight trickle feed of cold water that goes with it as well to dilute the acid. Or they're just relying on the fact that there's always a little bit of water in your sewage lines and it will just get flushed away when you use the loo. Who knows? Either way, it was a very good video, and in typical Post 10 fashion, he goes into far more of detail about how the stove works and all that. And that's why I like the guy, because sometimes you just need an artist to go into great detail about something, explaining how it works, and I find that very, very informative, and I find it entertaining. So yes, I've been out for a drive today, just a brief one, about 30-mile round trip. Picked up a turntable and a CD player. My dad's friend repeated 5 times saying, "It works, but..." Hang on, can I do his voice? It's got a bit of a wobble. It's not that drawl. It works. No, hang on, it's really loud as well. It works, but the low tray, it don't open. You know, I'll put it in and press the buttons and it works. And it will play. It's a good CD player. But the tray doesn't open and close. I can open, that's why I put a little thing there. And it's... Look, I'm not being disparaging. The guy suffered a stroke, but when he repeated it the 5th time about how the tray doesn't work, I said, "Got it. It 99% works. You just want the 1% there." He says, "Yeah." Like I said to him that I'll open it up and look at it with my dad. He says, "Oh no, there's no rush." And I said, "Well, I'm going to be there for a few days. It will give me something to amuse myself with. In addition to that, I'm going to use my dad's multimeter, because I've got a computer power supply, and I think there's a continuity error in the graphics card plug. I think the graphics card's all right. It's just it's not getting power, and that's why it's not turning on." Speaking of turning on, oh yes, when you press a button, it doesn't register the key. I can't type it. One moment, please. My keyboard is old, and there's no ink on the keys anymore. And I can. It's all right because I know by memory what all the keys are. However, the right hand and the left hand have a different memory. So it turns out the letters on my password, which are on the left hand, my right hand can't do them, and because I don't know where they are, I always get it wrong, so I have to use both hands in order to type in the password. So anyway, I told him, I said, "Look, I go over, spend Christmas, I cook dinner, and then we do technical stuff, which is just electronics, and, well, in this case, it'll be mechanical. There's a bit of electronics involved as well." He said that the remote doesn't work anymore, and he didn't provide the remote. but I'm assuming the IR receiver may have a dry joint, which I'll inspect. And as for the load mechanism, he says there's a whirring noise, so I assume the load motor still works. It's a matter of finding the snapped belt and then finding an equivalent replacement, which I might be able to source. Oh, and then of course as well, when I go to my dad, just have to travel west a little bit to Taunton, and I'll go and see the chap that restores Jaguar headlights, and he says he's got a light waiting for me. He's taken it off the shelf, so I just got to go there and I'll give that to him. Yep. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting Christmas. It's going to be a frugal Christmas, but that's okay. I'm told the original story on why we give presents is St. Nicholas saw two starving children, and what he did is he put some gold coins in their socks so that they'd be able to afford food and lodging, so they wouldn't be cold in the streets of Constantinople. And from that, the idea of Christmas is give charity to one another in the spirit of Jesus. Yeah, in the spirit of Jesus. Saint Nicholas, who was imbued with the Holy Spirit, and following the example of Christ our Lord, saw to it that these children would have a good Christmas. So they did, and that is why Saint Nick is. So I don't like the term Santa. It sounds too much like Satan. I don't understand the term Santa. It's not English. It's not French. He's Father Christmas, Père Noël, or Saint Nicholas. So yeah. Hey, look at that. See there? Just there. Fire's caught on that log, so that's good. We got a fire. I'll put that away, because each of those sticks is made by chopping with a hatchet, and if I don't have to use them, then so much the better. Right, I've got some rubbish to put in there, so I'll put some rubbish in. Share some dioxins with our neighbours. There we go. Oh, I like plastic, it burns well. Hobbit, how can you complain about us doing coffee in a microwave, boiling water in a microwave when you burn plastic? It's like, well, there's a difference, you see. You're ingesting that coffee. I'm not ingesting this. The only thing I'm getting from it is heat. So yeah, I'll be heading off in a, I've got to say, a rather uncomfortable car. I don't know how people do this, but my left leg, it hurts now, and I was limping when I got out of the vehicle, and I don't get it. I really don't, because it's so comfortable in the Jaguar. I mean, I get in that and I get out of it and I'm not tired. My legs don't hurt. And for the same reason I don't like Iveco lorries, because they're bloody uncomfortable. My heart always sinks when it's just like, here's the keys, oh, it's Iveco, okay. I mean, Iveco seem to pride themselves in making uncomfortable seats. Maybe the people that design the Iveco cab are not actual people, they're not humans. Maybe they're reptilians or Nephilim, and for that reason they don't understand how human legs work, and yeah. Whereas the people at Jaguar, they do understand how human legs work, and they understand the concept of a seat and its purpose, and how it ought to be. I may be getting a bit sensitive about this issue. You know, some people could say, oh, well, I drive these uncomfortable vehicles that you mentioned, I have no problem with them, and in which case, you know what, more power to you. Maybe you're more flexible than I am, but I know some things are comfortable, other things are not comfortable, and Jaguar is comfortable. Citroën is not comfortable. Yeah. Look at that fire go. It's nice, isn't it? I'm a bit worried though that when these sticks burn out, it's all going to get a bit lackluster. So what I should be doing, apart from bringing these sticks in so that they keep sharing their heat and burning and what have you, can I get that? I'd love to pick it up with my fingers, but it's a bit too hot. So just pop that there on top of those flames. There we go. Right, let's get a log. Right, a number of logs later, and I think this one will be suitable because if you look at it, it's got a little bit there which is split off. And again, that thing about the surface area, if you refer to Jour 34 de Luminer un Feu, and it's damp. Lovely. But there's a good spacing there caused by those kindling sticks. So I think we'll be alright. I'll just slide these ones under there. And, oh, there was already a log under there. Okay, fair enough. Right. Let us move that there. And can I shove it in? I don't know. I do not know. Pop that there. Do that. Right. Okay. I think we're done now. You'll have to excuse how misty it is. I haven't cleaned it, and it was very smoky yesterday. It just wasn't burning at all. Well, I mean, it was burning, but it was just smouldering. I wasn't getting any heat from it, and I really need some heat today because I got some soup. So I'll just put the saucepan there, and I'll put a lid on it because, as you may have noticed, towards the end of these videos, I have a little bit of a tidy up. Not much, mind you, but I do have a little bit. Just pop that there for the moment. The other thing I don't like about these modern cars, like the one I was driving today, is they're nanny cars. They got all these electronics in them, which is distracting in itself. And I think there's something to be said for a simple car that just has the controls you need for the road and nothing else. I mean, you might argue, it's like, well, I want a radio, and yes, I'd say I too like listening to a storybook as I drive along. But the rest of it I find rather distracting. It's a nanny car. Now, I do like speed limiters. I prefer cruise control, but speed limiters are also very good for when you're in the town and you're not always doing a constant speed of 30 miles an hour. So it's good to have a speed limiter. My problem I have with them, however, is that in the case of this one, you start to go over the speed and it beeps at you incessantly. Very, very loud, obnoxious beep. And I was just like, oh, it's a bloody nanny car, it's telling me off. And I like the older cars because they were either too stupid or didn't see it as necessary to admonish the driver for. You don't have your seatbelt on, the door is ajar, you're going over the speed limit, you don't have your lights on. You know, all these things which you should know as a driver. And the thing is, you can notice things like the door is ajar, because as you go on to speed for a bit, you go, oh, there's a bit of noise coming from that door. It's a bit breezy. And you notice when your lights aren't on, because you leave the town and you go, oh, it's all dark here, isn't it? Oh, I don't have my lights on. And you know when your seatbelt's not on, because when you crash, you go flying through the windscreen and you die instantly, as opposed to dying slowly or being severely injured. By the way, seatbelts don't work above 40 miles an hour. Reason being, if you come to a sudden stop from 40 miles an hour, your organs will press against your body, the connective tissues will tear, the organs will rupture and you'll die. So there's no point having a restraining device that's rated for more than 40. And I think that's why airbags exist, because they can arrest your speed less suddenly, combined with crumple zones, which also slow down the crash to make it from an abrupt stop to just like it's still abrupt, but it's slow enough that you can survive it if you're unfortunate enough to be involved in such an incident. Yeah, and that was one of the things I thought, oh, that's nice to know. The S-Type Jaguar was the first car in the world to have a feature of a weight sensor on the driver's seat. And the idea of this weight sensor is, based upon the weight, it would dial back or increase the... I'm getting a call, he doesn't know I'm doing a video. I'll respond to it later. Yeah, so it would either dial back or increase the explosive force of the airbag. Because if you've got a skinny bloke or woman getting crashed in there, and if it's a full force airbag, well then it's gonna snap their neck. So you want something with less force. Anyway, I'm done. Bye.